So I'm calling the meeting of the Dummerston Selectboard to order, 6:06 p.m. We are all present. Todd is via Zoom. So I'm chairing the meeting tonight, Alex Wilson. So first up is reviewing and approving minutes of previous meetings, August 7th, 2024.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes for August 7th, 2024.
I second it.
All right, moved and seconded. Any discussion, changes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, next up, reviewing and approving bills for payment. So there are 3 warrants. Warrant 4 is for $124,252.92. It's got some big items, Crown Point excavation for gravel and crushing, finish line construction for the covered bridge decking work, and that's covered by ARPA. That's $17,371 roughly. Rescue Inc. assessment, $3,800 roughly. West Dummerston Fire Department, the 2 half-year payments, $25,000 plus $13,000. The latter is the capital fund. In our last budget approval, we separated fire protection from the capital fund, so those are 2 separate items now. And then there are a slew of first half fiscal year 25 allocations. A dozen health and welfare organizations, some conservation payments. So that total pretty sizable. The other 2 warrants are the payroll 4P, which is pretty standard. Nothing out of the ordinary. And then warrant CC number 1, $150 for the Conservation Commission, which covered a BCTV recording of a program and then some printing that was done. Do I hear a motion to accept those warrants?
I'll make a motion that we approve payment of warrants 4, 4P, and Conservation Commission number 1.
Second it.
Any discussion? Further clarifications needed? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
That carries. ARPA funding, updates and discussion.
I don't have anything other than the warrants included ARPA projects.
Right, and there was one item that there was some leftover decking that was sold, so that $500 comes back into the ARPA account. Recognition of visitors and public comment. Chuck Fish.
Hi, thank you. It seems odd, I do have a request from the Historical Society, and it seems odd that this time it does not have to do with money. The request is this. With one of our projects on the building next door, we needed an Act 250 permit to establish and maintain a buffer zone along the Brook. And you, of course, have seen it many times at both sides of the driveway. And I'm concerned with what's on our side of the driveway. It has to be left untouched, except once a year it can be mowed. And we also have permission from the state to cut trees so as they spring up, so that we don't have really tall trees finally coming up in that area. And we're happy to cut down these saplings ourselves, but it's your land, so we thought we should ask you for permission to do that, as is permitted by our Act 250 permit.
Great. I had an exchange with Christine Gepp from the Conservation Commission suggesting that the commission might want to take on some other work that's needed in both sides of the driveway, invasive plants that are in there that could be removed. And she thought that was a great idea. It would be a high public visibility. There's not a lot. There's some multiflora rose, a little bit of buckthorn, I think. And as far as I know, nothing's been done. I looked at it the other day and it's still there, but I'll bring that up with Christine again to see if that seems like something they can take on. And at that time, they could cut down saplings if it seems like they're going to be a problem.
Well, that's an excellent suggestion. So we'll just wait and we may hear from her then.
I think so. Todd, do you have anything you've heard about that?
I know it's on their agenda, so I will put her in touch with Chuck on
Good.
that. For the 250 regulation, can they do invasive removal, or is it just saplings?
I'm sorry.
Do you know?
Oh, did it include invasives?
Can we remove invasives?
As I remember, and some years ago, that wasn't mentioned. I'd be very surprised if they would object, but
Yeah, I can't imagine.
I can't speak for them, but I can't imagine that they would.
Yeah, I don't think they would object.
I don't think so. I'll have the Conservation Commission follow up with the A&R folks and with Mr. Fish.
Great.
Good. Oh, thank you very much.
Do you want to mention the photo?
Yeah, I will.
Yep.
So it's all right with you folks, obviously, if we proceed in this way. Good. Well, the select board has kindly given me an opportunity to tell people, or remind people, that the Historical Society does have a continuing project called Faces of Dummerston. These are portraits, formal and informal, mainly informal, of people who are now living in Dummerston or who once lived in Dummerston. So anybody is welcome to come and look at this collection at the schoolhouse. It's preserved in albums. And also, if they are willing, we'd be delighted to snap their pictures if they are not already included. So we have regular openings the first and third Sundays of every month, 1 to 3 in the afternoon. That's a good time to come by, but special arrangements can be made if it's more convenient. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chuck.
Okay. I'll be on my way. Thank you.
There are no other visitors. Next up is the road foreman's report. First item on that is Town Road 61. And we have the legal language on the amended order of discontinuance that our attorney drew up. And have you had a chance to look at that? Did that circulate?
Yeah, I've looked at it.
Yeah.
The only thing I would recommend is the lines that are drawn in there are retyped in, like here, Commons, Reform. And that should be typed also.
Okay.
That would be my only recommendation. Everything that's good
Where it's handwritten in?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
should be typed in.
All right, do I hear a motion to approve this?
I'll make a motion that we approve the letter and authorize Todd to sign it when he gets back in town.
Great. I'll second that. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? It's carried unanimously. The other item on the road foreman's report in our agenda is to sign the contract for the Park Laughton Road Bridge. And we're not finding that in the folder. We talked to Lee. Lee thought it was here, but we're not seeing it. So I guess we'll need to table that until our next meeting.
Yeah, maybe somebody should give Lori a call tomorrow and let her know the contract's not in our folder, and please put a copy of it in the folder.
We think she's received it?
Yeah, he thinks that
Yeah,
it has it.
It must be somewhere if Lee thinks it's there. I just don't know where. It's been a month. We didn't see it last meeting either.
Okay, Maria's gonna call Lori, check on that.
thanks.
Correspondence for information. Are there any items in this that anyone wants to bring up? All right, there was some exchange about the Prospect Hill clearing project. And I think there's a site visit coming up, or bidders were invited to go look at it, at the mowing that's needed. Is that this coming weekend? Was that?
I think it is this weekend. It's certainly very soon that they're going to go up there.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone wants to put the word out with people you know that might be interested in bidding on that project, it sounds like there hasn't been a flood of inquiry yet.
I think he's got 5 bidders.
Oh, he does? Oh, good. All right, anything else you want to talk about on the correspondence for information?
Was there anything, Paul, was there anything in the July STARS report that was of interest? I looked at it on the computer, but it's easier to see.
The report has changed, and I was going to get in touch with the sheriff on it, because I like the idea of knowing what day tickets were written on. Where now they're not doing that, just putting a total at the end of the sheet. Where before they had always mentioned who wrote the tickets and when it was written, what day it was written. So I'm going to ask him to change that back the way it was.
You're probably not the only one.
Okay. Correspondence for discussion and or action. First is a covered bridge steps maintenance agreement. And that was emailed to us by Christine Gepp from the Conservation Commission. I would entertain a motion to approve that.
I'll second it.
I'll move it then. I didn't.
Oh, I thought you were making a motion to.
I'll move that we approve that
Okay.
contract.
Well, I'd like to talk about that. The majority of that looks good. It's kind of like yeah. But the one part of it was, if you look in the fine print, it says that they were going to maintain the brush with Roundup, which is a pretty bad idea next to the river. In general, it's a bad idea. It's for the environment, but definitely by the river, that's not good for the environment to use Roundup.
Right.
So I'd like to ask them if they could find some other method.
Sounds like a worthwhile request, especially since it's the Conservation Commission that.
Yeah, that's why I was a
With
little
interest
surprised
in
when I was
that.
reading it. So, if there's some other, or natural method, but as it is, Roundup would be a kind of easy thing to avoid, I think.
Goats.
Huh?
Goats.
Goats, if we can get them down by the river, but or anything but Roundup, pretty much. But the rest of it was pretty straightforward. So I would make a motion that we ask them to give us an altered version of what they could do that wasn't involving Roundup.
Okay, so would that be tabling the motion?
Sounds it, because I mean, without actually having it in writing.
Right.
Then, yeah.
I think
And
maybe
they're-
just with an email,
and
we
they're-
can say, is this something you could change?
But they'd have to rewrite the contract,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah, I would say table it till next meeting.
Yeah.
And I'll pass that along.
I was just trying to see where that is in the,
It was
Oh, and
it
Amber
was
Group.
in there a bit. I just happened to see it.
okay, well, we'll table that till the next meeting.
Should we contact them directly to ask about this? Or
He said he
you're going to
was
do that,
going
Todd?
Yeah, I'll do that when they wake up.
Okay.
Okay, and then there's Vermont 250th Town Resolution Reminder for 2025. I'm not sure what that is.
It looked like it was just for us to sign to say that we were celebrating the 250th anniversary. I don't know. That
Yeah,
was my take.
it was
on it.
actually a resolution if we wanted it written out. I mean, just 2025 marks 250th for the state of state of Vermont.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's something we could table it and bring it up even at town meeting. The resolution at town meeting.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
So.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
table that.
Yeah.
New business, Salmon Brook Erosion Emergency Watershed Protection Program. Todd, do you have any?
Nope, the RFP date's coming up here, I think the early September, and until that happens, nothing can move forward. So we'll see if we get anybody responding. And as I stated before, the state is trying to figure out some way around this. We're not the only town running into this problem. So they've got a bunch of money and a bunch of projects that they can't start because they can't get engineering designs done for the properties. And so we're all just kind of stuck. And I know he's looking into ways around it, but I just, until they come up with something, we're where we're at. I've talked to the homeowner, they understand what's going on. And they're just hoping, that we get a bid to come in.
Okay. And then we need to set up a budget planning process for FY
So
2026.
So our next meetings are our meetings in September are the 4th and the 18th, unless I'm mistaken. Is that right?
Sounds right.
okay. So
Why don't we start in between those two? So on the 11th. So basically what we've done for the new members, what we do is we set up, basically we're going to end up meeting every Wednesday. And on the non-select board meetings, we'll be working on the budget. Sometimes those meetings go for 2 hours, sometimes they go for an hour. As we get further into the process, it goes a little bit faster, but there's no way around not doing it. And occasionally, if we have a short select board meeting, like last week's, which is 8 minutes, we could do budget work as long as we warrant it, right, Maria? We could say select
Yeah.
board meeting and budget work if
Yes.
applicable or if available. So,
Yeah.
we may find that we have a short select board meeting and then we roll right into some budget work and then maybe get the next Wednesday off. It just gets a little cumbersome here as we have to go through all these line items and talk to people and interview people and, figure out where the money's going to go so that when the town meeting comes along, we've come up with a recommendation for what the tax rate's going to be. So I'd suggest that we start on the 11th and pretty much just do every other week until we get a jump on it. And then we may back off a bit if that sounds all right.
I believe I'm away on the 11th.
all right.
Well, that's okay. Obviously we can do the meetings and you've been through this at least once before for Tom and Paul. Probably the first meeting we'll walk through the process of how we do it. And Maria's got spreadsheets and various other things and kind of just get an idea of where we're going. And then we can start talking about the numbers at the next meeting.
Okay, I'm gonna be missing probably 2 meetings, but I will definitely, zoom in
Yeah.
to the meetings because I've got to go cross country.
Yes.
Yep. So they're not recorded. Obviously town people can show up. This is
Okay.
us just working. And then Maria has I don't know if you guys followed it last year, we kind of publish our work as we go, which scares people immediately because the first run through it looks like we're going to need $1 gazillion, but we'll eventually work our way down to what we can afford. But this year's going to be a little tricky I mean, just adding the fire truck payment, which starts this year, the new fire truck, is a 10% increase in taxes, right? I mean, 'cause our budget's basically $1 million, and the fire truck's $114,000 per year for the next 5 years. So we'll have to just kind of, if you have ideas on how you want to do it, of course, feel free to think and bring them up.
Great.
And I will send an email out to all of the committees and boards requesting their information. Generally, we ask them to have their budget request back by mid-October, so I'll just pick whatever date is in mid-October when we have a meeting,
Yeah, that's fine.
and set that as the deadline. then
And
I'll
some of
send-
them, depending on the budget, some of them come talk to us. Like, we're gonna end up talking to the fire department.
Yeah.
We're probably gonna end up talking to the library. They're gonna come in with their budget. Other smaller ones, I'm just the ones I know, like Conservation Commission, it's not a huge budget, but we certainly can ask them to come in and talk about it, especially if we're gonna, cut certain areas, so.
Great.
Okay.
All right, next up is the liquor catering license, so we need to recess.
So I'll make a motion that we recess the meeting and convene as the Liquor Control Board.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 So then I'll make a motion that we approve the liquor catering request for events at Scott Farm on August 25th, September 7th, October 5th, and October 6th.
Second that.
Who was that?
Tom.
Me. Yeah.
Any discussion? I looked at what those are for, and it's a mix of activities. They all seem fine. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? That passes.
So I'll make a motion that we adjourn as Liquor Control Board and reconvene the meeting.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so we've reconvened as the select board. Is there any unfinished business? Hearing none,
I'll make a motion we adjourn.
second that.
All right. Thanks, Alex, for stepping in.
Sure.